show, but we did have games last night. Poor guys that had to play up until the very last minute. And one of those teams was the Warriors. Kerr wasn't happy about it, but guess what? They got themselves a win in Houston. 3-1 with Jimmy Butler, defeat the Rockets 105-98. Steph with 27. Butler finished with 19 and 8. Steve Kerr has continued to try a bunch of different starting lineups, including that man right there, Pajemski. And Kerr said he will remain in the starting lineup for now. Chandler, what do you think the best lineup that they can put out there actually is?
I do like this small ball lineup, at least at the end of the game. I think when you start a game like that, it kind of sets the tone. But when you go with Draymond at the 5, especially defensively, it kind of gives you so many more options. They can switch everything. They're all like size. Offensively, the ball just flows a lot better. There's constant movement. I will say with the big dude Quentin Post, the way he's playing right now, and picking and popping and shooting the ball, he's also a good option, at least just to mix it up and to put him in there for 10 to 20 minutes a game. But I think their best lineup is this small ball lineup. I think it's going to be interesting to see how they work in Kuminga. Like I said earlier in the week, Kuminga, Butler, and Draymond, they're kind of similar type players. Obviously, you have Steph Curry, and then to fill that 5th spot with another shooter is going to be critical. But I like the way this team's playing. They play hard. They're tough. Jimmy basically gets a switch on every pick and roll offensively, and they just throw it to him in the post and let him play bully ball. All the constant movement offensively kind of lets these guys, screen and slip to the hole and get easy layups. But I definitely like this, at least finishing the game. I don't really care who starts the game for them, but I think this is the closing lineup.
Small ball, Lou. Love it, hate it.
Yeah, it's working for them. They're 3-1 playing like this. And like we said, when we start talking about guys having balance or a team having balance, you have Jimmy Butler, you got Steph Curry. Those are going to be your primary scorers. And then you have Pajemski. I'm sorry if I messed his name up. You have Pajemski, and then you have Moody. You have those two guys that are going to do the dirty work, that are going to make spot shots, but going to dive on the floor, going to do all those things. And then you have Draymond Green, who's going to be your quarterback on both ends, going to be super talkative on the defensive end, and on offense, he's going to run the offense, going to initiate things, make sure everybody's in their right spots. So this works for them, and like we just alluded to, what are they going to do now with the bench? Like, what are you going to get out of those other guys? So far, so good with this small ball lineup, and it's working for them, and they've been successful with it. So this may be something that the Golden State Warriors can work with moving forward.
Lou, I want to talk about how Jimmy Butler has fit in quite seamlessly. Draymond said he's a franchise changer, and then without him, last night would have been one of those games that they may probably have lost. What do you think it's been about him? I mean, he's a vet, but him fitting in as much as he has, did you think it'd be this easy?
Toughness, number one. Toughness is number one. That was one of the things that they wanted to clean up. They wanted to get tougher. They wanted to have more like-minded guys, like a Draymond, like a Steph Curry, guys that have been through the trenches of trying to win championships, deep playoff runs, that knows what it takes to win those type of games. And Jimmy Butler brings that to the table. He's fell short of some of those goals, but he has those experiences that he can bring to the table. And on the offensive end, as you've seen last night, when things got a little tight for the Golden State Warriors, they can throw the ball into the post to a Jimmy Butler, and he can go get a bucket, or he can create free throw opportunities where he can kind of slow down some of your momentum and give you an opportunity to get back in the games or to continue to flow. You see it right here in these clips: backdoor cuts, getting out, being in the right place. That's just veteran leadership. That's a veteran guy. So when Draymond says that he's a culture changer, he's a game changer, that's what he means. He's bringing that toughness that this Golden State Warriors team hasn't had up until this point.
If only he'd been there sooner, Chandler.
Yeah, and again, I'm not surprised because also let's not forget, Jimmy is 35 years old. He's just got his last big bag. Like he is now in a position to win and maximize, playing with arguably the greatest point guard, best shooter of all time, where he's going to get opportunities he never has before. So you pair him with the toughness and the defensive mind, like a Draymond Green, and this system that they have where it's constant movement, where I've never seen a system more where when you screen, if you set a good screen, you're the one that's going to get rewarded. If you set a good screen on Steph Curry's guy, your guy's going to jump out, you slip, you have a switch, you have a mismatch. And that's what Jimmy's done these last 3 or 4 games, where they'll literally just get a smaller guy on him, throw it up to him, and just let him play bully ball and get to the free throw line, which he's fantastic at. But I think he's going to thrive. I think he's going to thrive playing with this. Obviously, this is the honeymoon stage. Things are going well right now. They're winning games. They're healthy. But I like what I see so far. I love the small ball lineup. I love what this versatility it brings defensively. And again, offensively, with this constant movement, everyone's going to get a touch. Everyone feels like they're involved. He's always going to be able to set screens and move. He's always going to be the guy coming off a screen. He can initiate the offense because he kind of plays with that point forward. It's a good system for him. And again, he's got to be happy. They just gave him 121 million bucks. He's
not.
there. He's there basically for the rest of Steph Curry's career. So you better maximize it and make it worth it.
Anthony Slater was on earlier this week, and he's always covering the Warriors. He said that they're targeting the 6th seed. So we'll do a little math. Here's where they are right now. They're in the 10 spot, and they're only 3.5 games back of the 6th seed. There was a time when this sounded impossible, Chandler, but what do you think? Doable?
I think it's very possible. You said it, 3.5 games back with what, 30 games to play?
Yeah.
You can see the potential with Jimmy Butler in this lineup. You can see the more opportunity that guys like Moses Moody are getting. This guy Quentin Post came out of nowhere where he's all of a sudden this valuable option as a pick and pop 5-man who's a legit 7-footer. They still have guys like Looney and Peyton that do all the dirty work, and they have their franchise kind of cornerstone piece coming back, Kuminga. So I like what they did. They didn't have to give up much. They got an all-NBA type player, Jimmy Butler, and as long as they stay healthy, they have a shot. Look at the teams above them. The Timberwolves are starting to play well. They had a crazy win last night with nobody playing. Dallas, it's kind of the weird. They're in weird no man's land where how can they get healthy? How are they going to do this next month or two? Really banged up. And then the Clippers and the Kings are kind of those wild card teams that are kind of fighting too. So I wouldn't be surprised. I think it's a good goal. I think it's very, very possible with 30 games left. I think they could definitely kind of bridge that gap.
Got to agree with you, Chandler. It's good to have a goal. Like, it's good to have something that you shoot for when you're a team. That makes it easier to get there, right? But the two teams that I always look around when teams say things like this, I look around and I see many is still going to be steady. Dallas is about to go through they're about to go through it. But you look at the Clippers, you look at Sacramento. I feel like Sacramento got better at the trade deadline. You know, you get De'Aaron Fox down to San Antonio, but you bring in a Zach LaVine. You bring in another guy that's a bona fide 20 to 25 point scorer a night, and you pair him up with the rest of those guys. Like, they're going to stay steady. The Los Angeles Clippers are going to stay steady. But now with this team, with Jimmy Butler, they're playing better basketball. They're playing confident basketball. They feel like they have an opportunity to get to that 6th seed. So they're not going to be able to walk to it. It's going to be a lot of adversity that they're going to have to go through, a lot of challenges to get there. But it's always great when a team can see the light at the end of the tunnel and say, this is what we're shooting for.
I mean, look, they beat a team last night that's ahead of them in the standings, and this Rockets team's going through it, as you said, Lou. 7 of their last 9 games, and they've dropped down to the 4th spot from 2. No Fred VanVleet for about 7 of those games, so I don't know if it's a combination of they're missing him or if perhaps this young team sort of starting to level out.
It's a domino effect. Like, you get used to your veteran leadership. You get accustomed to what he brings to the table during games. You know, if a team is going on a run, you have that veteran to kind of calm everybody down, to steady the ship. When you have somebody like that out, that's an all-star caliber guy, that's a leader, that's his voice is going to resonate with some of these young guys. When he's out of the lineup, it's going to show in the play. And also, you have a very youthful team. Like, we weren't all the way sold on Houston being number 2 because of these reasons, because they're youthful, because they've never been in this position. Like, they've never been the guys to go out and be the hunted instead of the guys that go out and hunt. Now that teams are wanting to get to that 2nd spot, want to get to that 3rd spot, they're going to be targeted, and they're going to get a lot of teams' best shots. And that's what you've seen since Fred VanVleet has been in and out of this lineup. And now they're reeling a little bit, and they're trying to find their footing. That's why we weren't completely confident in their ability to maintain that number 2 position with so many young guys on their roster. So I don't know where they go from here with everything that they're going through, but we were right the whole time. You know, they were going to go through it based on their youth, and also with Fred VanVleet being out. So I think it's a domino effect of both things.
Yeah, and it's if you're the Rockets too, there's no need to panic here. I think you're exactly where you should be. It's such a young team. You have so many assets this summer where you can still better your roster. You have your core going forward. You have a hell of a coach in Udoka who's got these dudes playing hard regardless of the outcome of the game each and every night. But this is a team that I think is going to continue to slip and struggle just because of inexperience, because of youth. It's funny looking at these standings, like the Warriors could catch the Rockets for all we know in the next 30 games. That's how much I trust the Warriors more. Doesn't mean they're a better team. Doesn't mean they're in a better situation than them. But it's just crazy when you take a look at it. They were definitely the surprise team early, and now they're just kind of coming back down to earth a little bit.
They are. We'll talk about a couple teams next too, because the West there's going to be a lot of movement in these final 27, 30 games, because the T-Wolves last night, a very short-handed Timberwolves team, beat the Thunder 116-101. They didn't have Gobert. They didn't have